So I thought that over the weekend that we would discuss how to generate the altruistic intention and thus how to generate love and compassion. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's two primary methods to generate the altruistic intention. One is called the 7 points of cause and effect, the instruction of 7 points of cause and effect, and the other is called equalizing and exchanging self with others. And if you will go through these, we only have 2 days, so it will be comparatively brief, but they're described in the book Taming the Mind that's out there, and then also the other book, Transforming Adversity into Joy and Courage. That is a book by one of my teachers, and chapter 10 and 11 in his book talk about this quite extensively, quite beautiful teachings. But both of the methods for generating love, compassion, and the altruistic intention of bodhicitta are founded on equanimity. Okay? And equanimity has different meanings in different contexts within Buddhism. Here, it means the equanimity of between friend, enemy, and stranger. Okay? Because usually our friends, we're very attached to them. Our enemies, and here, what by enemy, I don't mean, some evil person who's out to get you. I mean somebody that you don't like. Yeah, there's no good English word. So if I say, kind of somebody who bugs you, who you don't trust, who you don't want to be around. Okay, so I'll just use the word enemy. That's a little bit of an exaggerated word, but there's no other good English word for it, okay? So usually for enemies, we feel some aversion, and then for strangers, we usually feel apathy, okay? In order to generate love and compassion that is impartial, and that goes out equally to all living beings, we have to do something with our attachment, aversion, and apathy. So this meditation is quite important for doing that, and it is very helpful in our own lives as well, because due to the bias we have for some living beings and against others, we wind up to be like an emotional yo-yo. Yeah, I'm with somebody I like, I feel good, and I'm with somebody I don't like, and I feel bad. And I'm with somebody I like, and I'm with somebody I don't like. Yeah, so one of my teachers said we're like emotional yo-yos. Are you know yo-yos? Yeah? Yeah, are you like an emotional yo-yo? Okay, so it's, in our lives, being an emotional yo-yo is not so much fun for us, and it's also kind of disturbing for the other people around us, because they don't know what they're going to meet when they see us. Are we going to be in a good mood, or are we going to be in a bad mood? Are we going to be cooperative, or are we going to be belligerent? Okay? So if we can develop some equanimity for other living beings, we ourselves will be emotionally much more stable, and that will make our own life more peaceful, and the lives of the people around us also more peaceful. Okay? So, we're going to do a little exercise. So close your eyes. Okay. And I want you to, first of all, think of somebody that you're very attached to. Okay, so somebody that you really want to be around, that you really want to be in your life that you don't want to be separated from. So think of, one or two specific individuals. And then ask yourself, why am I attached to that person? Why is my mind so, attached or stuck on being with that person? There's no right or wrong answers. Just listen to what your mind says when you ask yourself, why am I so attached to this person? Now think of another person that you have aversion towards. Somebody you really don't like to be around. And then again, ask yourself, why don't I like to be around this person? Why do I have such aversion and negative feeling towards them? And again, no right or wrong answer, just listen to what your mind says. see on the MRT or taxi driver or somebody you walk by on the street or see in a store, somebody you don't know, and ask yourself, why do I feel apathetic or indifferent towards that person? And again, no right or wrong answers, just listen to what your mind says. Why do I feel apathetic? Okay. So, why are you attached to your friends or relatives? Why? What kind of answers did your mind give? They've been kind to me. Okay. What else? They're a benefit to us. Okay. What else? They care about us. What else?
They are my family.
My family. Okay. What else?
They make me feel safe.
They make me feel safe. Okay. What else? Yeah? You want things from them. Yeah, you want their company, their recognition, because you get something out of having that from them. Yeah, they solve your loneliness or your insecurity or something. Okay. What about the people you don't like? Why? What did your mind say about why you have so much animosity towards them?
Lack of trust.
Yeah, we don't trust them. Why not? Yeah, things that have happened. They've harmed us in the past. Yeah. What else?
We don't see eye to eye.
Oh, okay, we don't see eye to eye. They don't agree with my ideas. Yeah. What else? I'm sure you have a litany of reasons in your head. Huh? They're very negative, yeah. They do things we don't like, and they pour out all these negativities around us.
They take advantage of us.
Oh, they take advantage of us, don't they? They try and control us. Yeah. They try and control us. They try and make us feel guilty, and sometimes they succeed. Okay. And what about strangers? Why do you have indifference or apathy towards strangers?
Too many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Okay. And what else?
We don't know them, so there's no past experience.
Yeah, we don't know them, so they don't really influence us one way or another.
Just too busy with ourselves.
Huh?
We're just too busy with ourselves.
They're
We are just too busy with ourselves.
Oh yeah, so we're very busy with ourselves. We can't pay attention to them. It's almost as if they don't exist as human beings. Isn't it? You know, when you're trying to walk down the street, it's like there's an obstacle course to steer. Yeah, but that's how we treat strangers, you know, getting on and off vehicles. They're just obstacles for us to go around, to, you know, walk down the street and get where we want to go. Okay, now in this discussion, what words do you hear repeatedly? Me. I. Mine. My. Imagine that. What do you think that indicates? What? Yeah, a lot of ego in there. So if we look, we put people into camps of friend, enemy, and stranger according to how they treat me, right? Yeah. Why? Because I am the center of the universe, the most important one. Yeah. But when we look at people, we don't relate to them. We don't think, oh, I like you or dislike you, or I'm neutral according to how you relate to me. We look at people as if from their own side they're nice and friendly, or from their own side they're mean and nasty, or from their own side they're robots, you know, and don't matter. Isn't it? Yeah. When you look at a person who you're very attached to, do you think I'm attached to them and I see them in such a beautiful aspect because of what's happening in my mind? Or do you think, oh, from their side, they're 100% wonderful? Which way did that appear to you? When you look at somebody, you think of somebody that you know, you're very attached to, it appears as if from their side they are really a wonderful person. Yeah. You don't think, oh, my mind isn't making them wonderful. You think, oh, they're really wonderful. They, from their side. Okay. When you're with somebody you don't like, yeah, how does that person appear to you? Does it appear as if they're, you know, obnoxious and a real jerk from their own side? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? You know, this person that I have to work with, they're so inconsiderate and rude and, you know, pessimistic and negative and uncooperative. You know, and we look and we think they have those qualities from their side. Yeah, and I'm just sweet, innocent me who has to endure them. Right? Yeah, but from their side, they're really awful. And then the people that we like, again, from their side, they're really wonderful. Yeah, and I get to be with them, and they like me. Imagine, all these wonderful people like me. We never think all these nasty people like me. We always think these wonderful people like me. Okay? And then all these strangers, there's so many of them, and they're just in the way, and we don't know them, and they don't influence us, so why care? Yeah. As soon as that role changes and they influence us in one way or another, that strangers will put in the friend category or in the enemy category. Okay, but until they do something that really affects us, who cares? Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it, how our mind makes people into friends, enemies, and strangers. Yeah, people going in one camp or the other is because of our mind, how they relate to me. But we don't understand this when we're with other people. We think it's because of how they are, and that we're seeing them how they really are. Our friends and relatives are really wonderful. Our enemies are really yucky. Yeah. But in actual fact, when we do this kind of exercise and examine, it becomes evident that it's our mind making people into friends, enemies, and strangers based on how they treat the center of the universe, me. Okay? And it's very interesting to watch this, you know, because most people have some good qualities and some bad qualities. If they show their good qualities towards me, they're friendly, encouraging, cooperative, then they go in the friend category. Yeah. And if they show their bad qualities towards me, they're in a bad mood, they gossip, they, you know, get in people's way, then again, from their side, they're a real jerk out there. Yeah. Nothing related to me. I'm seeing them how they are. Okay. But as soon as, okay, this person who before, you know, looked at us and did everything we want and said all these sweet ego-pleasing words and encouraged us and agreed with our ideas and gave us presents. Okay, as soon as that person shows their negative qualities towards us, yeah, they call us names, they accuse us of things we didn't do, yeah, they blame us, then what category do they go into? The enemy category. Okay? So can you think of many people in your life that started out in the, you know, that actually were in the friend category, and then they did something you didn't like and they went in the enemy category. And then maybe the day after that they did something you liked, so they went back in the friend category. And the day after that, again, they talked behind your back, so they went in the enemy category. Yeah, can you think of people like this? You might live with them. Yeah? These are often the people you live with. They go back and forth, one category to the other category, depending on how they're relating to me. Okay. In fact, when we were born, everybody was a stranger. weren't they? Every single person, when we came out of our mama's womb, was a stranger. We didn't know any of them. So they were all neutral. We didn't, we weren't attached to any. We weren't had aversion to any. We didn't really care much about any of them. Then the ones who started being nice to us went in the friend category. The ones who got in our way went in the enemy category. Then sometimes people who were in the enemy category, we saw them in a different kind of situation, and they went in the friend category. If you think of your friends from primary 1 or primary 2, your friends that were your friends there maybe became your enemies later on. Or maybe you lost touch with them and they became strangers again. And then the kid who pulled your hair and threw sand at you in primary 1, maybe now they're your best friend because you met them in a different situation. Or maybe they too have become strangers. Okay. So what we're getting at is these classifications of friend, enemy, and stranger are not fixed. They're very changeable. Okay, very, very fluid if we look at in our lives. And these categories are very subjective. And that we fool ourselves thinking that people are either wonderful or obnoxious from their own side, but actually they become wonderful or obnoxious due to our judgments. Don't they? Due to our judgments, how they act towards us, and whether we like what they did towards us. Okay. So we create our friends, enemies, and strangers, and these categories are constantly shifting. But whenever somebody is in one category, we think they're always going to be in that category. Somebody who is my friend, somebody who I fell in love with, they are always going to be in that category of the people I'm attached to. This relationship is never going to end. It's like the songs in the, in the movies. I can't live without you. You're wonderful. And we believe that. But is that reality? No, it isn't, is it? It's not reality at all. Okay. What about the person you didn't like? You can't stand them. Maybe they're in the next cubicle. Maybe they're your brother or sister. Who knows? But you can't stand them. Is that going to remain? It seems like it's going to remain forever. Like when I was giving the talk on forgiveness, when we make that pledge to never speak to somebody again as long as we live, we really keep that one well. But is that really the case? That we always have to hate somebody? That they're always perpetually going to be our enemies in this and all future lives? No, that's not sure at all. There's a story in the scriptures, I don't know which scripture, but of Shariputra, and he was going on alms round with another monk. And they went to a family's house, and the mother of the family, they had a dog, so the mother was feeding fish bones to the dog, okay? And the father had their baby on his lap and was, holding the baby and rocking the baby and everything with a lot of love. And Shariputra said to the other monk something to the effect of, "Oh my, samsara is really something else." And the other monk looked, "Well, what do you mean?" Well, Shariputra, as we know, had special supernatural powers, superhuman powers. So he was able to see who these people, who some of them were in their previous lives, and what the relationship was between them before. Okay, so that the mother who was feeding the fish bones to the dog, the fish to the dog. So the fish was the mother's father, and the dog was the mother's mother. They had both passed away. The father liked to go fishing. He was born as a fish. The mother, liked to be around the house, so she was reborn as the dog. And then the daughter is feeding her father to her mother, who's eating the dog's eating the fish. Okay. Then the husband, the father, who's holding the baby and looking at the baby, "Oh, my son, I love this child, and my daughter, I love this child so much." That child was the wife's lover. Had died, been reborn as their child. And now the husband, who was so jealous of his wife's lover, is now cuddling him on his lap because he's the child. Okay? So do you see why Shariputra was like, whoa, samsara is unpredictable? Because these relationships are constantly changing. They are not fixed, they're constantly in flux. Yeah? So our mind that makes relationships, our way of thinking, makes them permanent, is totally out of touch with reality. And our mind that judges and evaluates people, makes them into friends and enemies or strangers according to how they relate to me, that mind also is totally, has no understanding of reality. And here we're just talking about conventional reality. Okay? So this makes us stop and look and ask ourselves, the way I relate to people and have attachment for friends, aversion, or antipathy or animosity for enemies, apathy and indifference for strangers, is that a way of relating to other sentient beings that makes sense? Is that a realistic way of relating to others? Now, what do you think? Is that a realistic way of relating to others? It's not, is it? Yeah? It's very subjective, very partial. Yeah. In fact, all those living beings, whether they're friends, enemies, or strangers at any particular moment, are basically just sentient beings swept along in the currents of ignorance and craving and samsara, who all equally want to be happy and all equally want to be free of suffering. They're all exactly the same in that way, aren't they? And they change roles in our life, even within this life. They change roles all the time. And from one lifetime to the next lifetime, we're changing roles with each other, so that somebody who we can't stand this lifetime is our best friend next lifetime, somebody we, adore this lifetime is a stranger next lifetime. These things are always changing. There's nothing stable and secure in our relationships. And so the emotions of attachment, aversion, and apathy are really uncalled for. They really don't conform with reality. Okay, can you see that? Can you get some sense of that? It's rather shocking, isn't it? It's really rather shocking. Of like, oh wow, all my emotional yo-yo, my like, my dislike, I love them forever, I'm offended by them forever. All of this is just stuff that's made up by our egotistical mind, our self-centered mind. Yeah. Our opinions of people have very little to do with who those people actually are. Because who they are actually, just in a conventional way, is a sentient being who wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer. They're exactly like me. No different. And there's no difference between any of them. So there's no reason for me to favor some people over others. There's no reason for me to hate some people more than others. They're all actually equal. And so when we do some really in-depth meditation and contemplation like this, what comes up in us is a feeling of equanimity, what we call equanimity. So this is a mind that is free of attachment, anger, and bias. It's a mind that impartially is open and receptive and caring to each and every living being, no matter how they treat us, how they relate to us. Okay. Now, do you think having a mind that is equal towards others, that a mind that has equal open-hearted concern for others, do you think that mind will serve you better than your attachment, your anger, and your apathy? Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Being able to see any living being and feel something in common with them. Oh, they're just like me. They want to be happy and not suffer. That's what's really going on in their mind. And then we know something very important about each person. No matter how they treat us, no matter how they relate to us, we can see something very important in their heart. And that they're exactly like us. Just trying to get through their life without suffering and trying to eke out whatever happiness they can. And so we respond to that understanding with open-hearted concern, with a feeling of closeness to everybody. Okay? So this meditation saves us from the vacillating moods of, attachment, aversion, and apathy. And it also counteracts feelings of alienation or feelings of not belonging, feelings of not fitting in. Okay? I think we all have those feelings of not fitting in, don't we? Yeah. Can you admit it? What I was so surprised, because when I went to school, primary school and secondary school, there were always certain cliques of kids, and they were the popular ones, yeah, and they had more prestige, and everybody looked up to them, and I wasn't one of them. And I thought, one part of my mind thought, oh, if I could only be like them, be one of these popular kids, then I'd be happy. But then on the other hand, what these kids did to be happy, I wasn't really interested in doing. Yeah. Because what they did, I just, wasn't my cup of tea. So I had this kind of conflicting feeling for them, but still some kind of envy. And then I remember when I went off to university, and I met so many more people, and some of these people had been the very popular kids in secondary school. And when I got to know them in university, I realized that when they were in secondary school, they didn't feel like they belonged. They always felt that the popular kids were another group. Yeah, and they were always jealous of another group. Yeah. And I found that so interesting that everybody who I thought was popular felt that they didn't fit in. And I realized, you know what? Nobody ever feels like they fit in. Yeah? This is universal, that we all feel, oh, this group of people, they know each other, but I don't fit in. And that every single person in that group thinks that. And like, gee, how stupid we are. Yeah, and that if everybody feels they don't belong, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could go and talk to somebody, because that would really help them. Yeah. Even these people that, I was jealous of, who I felt like, I can't talk to them, they're the high-class kids. They also didn't feel like they belonged. And if I could go up to them and be friendly, that might ease their feelings of insecurity. And then everybody else too, who, were in my group, then we didn't feel like we belonged. I could go up to anybody and be friendly, because they all would appreciate friendship. Because none of them felt like they fit in. And so that was this whole new discovery for me, that wow, when I'm with a group of people, I don't need to be shy and reserved and afraid of talking to people. That actually, people would appreciate if somebody reaches out to them. Yeah, because we're all in the same boat. It was a big wake-up thing for me. I remember being so surprised, when I discovered that. Okay? So this is a really good opportunity. We're talking about this now, but in the break time, think about it some, and think about your relationships and how your own mind makes you bias for some people and against other people, depending on how they treat you. And how they treat you changes from day to day. Isn't it? Because one day, I'll give an exaggerated situation, but one day, you know, somebody here on this side gives me $1,000. They are my everlasting friend. And the person on this side accuses me of doing something wrong. They are my everlasting enemy. Then the following day, this person accuses me of doing something and points out my mistakes. And this person gives me $1,000. So who's my friend and who's my enemy? Who am I going to be attached to? And who am I going to have aversion for? Because they've both given me $1,000 and they've both accused me and pointed out my mistakes. Yeah? So why should I favor one over the other, depending on which day this is? And so when we look into, you know, our life, even this life, and especially if we look beyond this lifetime and see that we've had beginningless previous lifetimes, then everybody's been our dear friend. Everybody's been our horrible enemy. And everybody's been a stranger. So what is the sense of being partial towards anybody? It makes no sense at all. When you think about it, the person you can't stand in this lifetime was maybe your mother or father in a previous lifetime. Or maybe your husband and wife in a previous lifetime. Yeah? Or your child in a previous lifetime. And the person that you can't stand this lifetime, yeah, was somebody very dear to you in the past. And the person you're in love with this lifetime was an enemy in the past. Yeah. And then a whole bunch of lifetimes where you were born in totally different realms of existence, different world systems, didn't even know each other, where you were strangers. Okay, so when we have a big mind like this, and we really stretch our awareness, it changes something inside, yeah? And it enables us to see everybody with the same open-hearted concern, and it frees us from this awful yo-yo mind. And it also frees us from being so ego-sensitive. Yeah. We're very ego-sensitive, aren't we? Every small thing somebody does, you know, it's related to me. I'm sure they did that because they wanted to hurt me. I'm sure they did that because they really liked me. You know, we attribute everything in the universe to us, to ourselves, because we think we really are the center of the universe. And everything anybody does, all their motivations, are formed on the basis of me. Okay? So we make ourselves quite miserable. And we have so many unnecessary conflicts with other people, and we also have so much unnecessary attachment, you know, to other people. And attachment is gooey. Attachment is uncomfortable. You know, when we're attached to people, we can't move because we're always wondering what they think of us, and we're trying to please them. And we can't really be ourselves.